Well, let's bring in Khaled Elgindy now, who is a senior fellow at the Middle East Institute. He's joining us live from Arlington in Virginia. So first of all, give us your assessment of how this is going to transform the balance of power now.
Well, I think it is quite a dramatic step. There was a sort of minimum of judicial oversight that is now no longer there, or at least it is beginning to be dismantled. This bill to eliminate the reasonableness standard is really in lieu of a constitution. I mean, Israel doesn't have a constitution. If it had a constitution, it probably wouldn't be in the kind of crisis that it's in now. And so since there is no constitution, the courts have traditionally relied on this reasonableness standard, which, as was pointed out, is quite subjective. But at least there was some judicial oversight, whereas now there is none. You have essentially moved toward an illiberal majoritarian system that lacks the basic checks and balances.
And there's been lots reported about what's in it potentially for Netanyahu in terms of giving himself a form of legal protection. But what could the agenda be of the far right in the government? People have been talking about, could this potentially be a land grab of the West Bank from the Palestinians, perhaps?
Yes, I mean, I think it's no secret that the same people who are pushing for the so-called judicial overhaul, the far-right members of the coalition, are the ones also pushing for annexation and more settlements and more evictions of Palestinians and so forth. The annexationist agenda is part of what is motivating this move to remove the courts from the equation, so that there are no checks on what the government can do in the occupied territories, and effectively now blurring the line between Israel's rule in the occupied territories and its governance of the Israeli Jewish population. So that same authoritarian tradition that has been in place for 56 years with Palestinians is now being essentially metastasized and spreading to the rest of Israel. So there's no question that there's a direct link between those pushing for removing these judicial checks and those pushing for annexation.
And what's your fears for the Palestinians now, and indeed the outlook for Israel itself? Could we see a split, perhaps?
Well, I think for Palestinians, it's going to continue to be more of the same. I think the real question is, how are Israeli Jews going to respond to this latest development? And really, we're seeing the emergence of two very different versions of Israel. One is very liberal and authoritarian and committed to annexation and even a form of dictatorship, according to some of the right wing's own slogans. And the other is at least thinks of itself as a more liberal, progressive Israel that believes in democratic norms. Overlooking, of course, the major contradiction there that those same liberals haven't had much of a problem with the fact that Israel has ruled over 5 million people who have no citizenship rights at all. Whether that means there's going to be a sort of redrawing of the battle lines, perhaps people in Israel beginning to realize the link between its occupation and indeed apartheid in the occupied territories and what is happening in their own country and their own form of governance. That might be an awakening for parts of the Israeli left that before now have had the luxury of ignoring the occupation.
OK, Khaled Elgindy joining us live from Virginia. Thank you.